search for answers in the disappearance of a 61-year-old HEB employee continues as we near the 2-year anniversary.
More than 4 years have passed since the disappearance of Pauline Diaz.
Now behind me is the home that Pauline was living at the time of her disappearance.
6 years and still nothing.
She is not the person who would just leave her children.
Describe your mom. Describe Pauline. Who is Pauline Diaz?
Pauline Diaz is a wonderful person. She was a very kind-hearted woman, loved everybody, caring. She was all in one person.
My mom, she was awesome. I mean, I loved her so much. When I was little, I mean, me and her were always together. She had so many virtues. She was a woman with ethics and values and virtues, and that's what she always would try to instill in me. And she was very, very faithful, you know, and she had a hard life.
I noticed you guys are referring to her in the past tense. Do you believe she's gone?
I do. I do too. I don't feel her. I don't feel her alive. It's just a daughter's intuition.
Pauline Diaz was employed at HEB on Goliad Road, and we know that she left her job sometime after 2 p.m. on December 7th, 2010. From there, we understand that she went to her house and that she was supposed to come out to her husband or ex-husband's house to pick up a lawnmower. Her truck was found 181 and County Road 320, and from there we do not know what happened with Pauline. I mean, we followed all kinds of leads. We interviewed a lot of people, and you know, we just don't know what happened to her.
In your investigation, does Pauline strike you as the type of person who would leave on her own accord? Do you suspect foul play at all?
Well, we didn't know her, you know, but I mean, the people that she worked with didn't believe that she would just leave on her own. So evidently, it must be foul play.
Any ex-husband is going to be a person of interest if his wife turns up missing. Now, he never lawyered up. He talked to the police. Everybody interviewed him. I interviewed him. He never went on any searches for her, but he was already estranged and gone from her. But so there's no way to say he's guilty. But the car was left down the street from where he lives. We don't know that he did that. We have no idea, or that someone did that to make it look like he did it. So it's a case with no physical evidence, very little circumstantial evidence, and the years are flying by. We wanted to learn first about Pauline, and we'd call it victimology. All you had to do was walk into her home, and this is where she lived. And that's her cabinet. All the items pulled together. A compulsive person. That's how we learn about a person. We go in, we look at all their things, we look at them. The stove is immaculate. So we know she's highly compulsive. And what does that tell us? A lot. This is her CDs, everything in a row. This is her calendar made on December. All of these little marks here are days she's supposed to work after December. So she didn't just stop on December 7th. She had her routine planned out. December 7th is the last time anybody saw her. These are the shoes I believe Pauline wore to work that day. You have pictures of her coming out, okay? These are the shoes we know she wore. You'll be able to zoom in on the shoes and see that if you look. This is the bottom of that shoe that was there, and that's sand, okay? This is where she lived and where her ex-husband was, or not ex-husband to be yet, or estranged, and the sand is there. So we know she went by to meet with him. He's admitted that she came by his trailer, there used to be trailer, and met with him, and that's the last time he saw her. She left. But I believe Pauline made it back to her house. And what makes me believe that is the shoes, for one thing. Notice she's wearing them as she comes out of the HEB. She's wearing that exact shoe. This is a woman, trust me on this one, that would never leave her clothes like that in the bathroom. I believe she was surprised. She got back home, she went to clean up, and the killer, or the person that abducted her, surprised her there in her own house. And I believe the person, or persons that did this, entered that house, and that's where she stood her ground, and that's where she may have died.
Did you have anything to do with her disappearance?
No.
Because you are considered a person of interest in the case.
Yes, I know that.
My priority right now is finding my mom and putting her where she needs to be. That's mine.
There will never be closure. It'll probably be the day I die. I feel I want to find her. I want to know what happened. What exactly happened that day.
If you have a tip for investigators, call the Wilson County Crime Stoppers or Bexar County Sheriff's Office at the numbers on your screen. Pauline's family is offering a reward of $25,000 for information that leads to her. Coming up,
people who would be predators or exploit children, they're online. And they're online in vast numbers.
An up-close look at the agency handling dozens of missing persons cases each year. The faces of the missing and the endless search to find them is up next. On August 4th, 1990, an 11-year-old girl by the name of Heidi Seaman was walking home on Stall Road on the city's far northeast side after spending the night at a friend's house and never made it home. In the coming days, there was a massive search effort to find her. Thousands of volunteers searching throughout the area and South Texas. Three weeks after Heidi disappeared, another girl, 7-year-old Erica Boteo, was abducted from outside her West Side apartment complex. Volunteers, even members of Heidi's own family, then joined in the search for Erica. The San Antonio community was on edge. Then on August 25th, Heidi's body was found 60 miles away in Wimberley, Texas. Erica's body was found the following day in a storm drain not far from her home. Both girls had been raped and murdered. Their cases, which were determined not to be connected, were never solved. There were persons of interest and suspects named, but no one was ever convicted in their murders. But in the aftermath of what happened, in the aftermath of these horrific kidnappings and murders, a new place for loved ones of the missing to turn to was established. As a result, the Heidi Search Center was born.
People are missing because something really bad has happened. In the current 2017, it's much different from 1990 when Heidi and Erica went missing. There was no internet, there were no applications, there weren't even cell phones, or if they were, kids didn't have them. And now, fast forward to 2017, most people have a phone, and it's not just a phone, it's got access to every person in the world.
The Heidi Search Center sees about 85 to 100 cases per year. If you think about that, that's about 7 or 8 cases each month. That's a lot. The walls of their building are covered in flyers and posters featuring the faces of the missing. And one of the things you might notice about those faces is that many of them, in fact, the majority of them, are young. Teens, adolescents, young adults.
Unfortunately, I'm seeing a majority of our cases are due to someone they've met online. The problem is people are abducting them, but they're doing it through a process of grooming. So it doesn't look like they've been taken, like in Heidi's case where it was very clear someone grabbed her and 300,000 people went and looked for her. What I'm seeing now is they have communication with someone online who tricks them. They walk out of their house at 3 a.m. with mom and dad sleeping in the next room, and no one knows where they are in the world.
The term runaway does not really exist in the traditional sense at the Heidi Search Center. They say that's one of the big myths about these cases, is that these kids willingly got up and left their homes. But in the majority of the cases they're seeing, a lot of these children are being lured out of their homes. They're being tricked, they're being manipulated by predators and put into very dangerous situations.
It's been horrible. I haven't worked for that last week. It's hard for me. Coming in this room and just seeing it empty. I just closed the door.
But didn't take a change of clothes or anything?
She didn't take nothing. Just her shoes, her pants, and her shirt. That's it.
Do you think she ran away, or do you think...
I honestly don't. I feel like she was forced to leave. I don't feel like she ran away willingly. I feel like they told her something. Hey, if you don't come with me, I'm going to do this. Or if you don't come with me, I'm going to do this to your family. I mean, I don't know. I don't think she ran away by herself.
When I interview family members of the missing, you can feel their pain, you can feel their frustration. In 98% of the cases that come to the Heidi Search Center, that person is located. In the case we just showed you, that teen was found only to disappear again a few weeks later. The Heidi Search Center believes that when you're dealing with someone who has been groomed, those are cycles that are incredibly hard to break.
They may have appeared to leave on their own steam, but if they're gone more than a day or two, there is an adult providing the reason and the harboring of them. They really can't exist very long in our society without someone doing that. And so the cases where the kid walked away and isn't being exploited are extremely rare. Like very rare.
The grooming process can take anywhere from a few days to a few months. In many cases, the bad guys make contact with a child online. They strike up a conversation, maybe use flattery or misrepresent themselves by saying they're a friend of a friend. And then they put in the time with the child. They build up a relationship. They take their side when the child is in an argument with a parent or friend. And that relationship evolves eventually into an actual meetup.
People who would be predators or exploit children, they're online, and they're online in vast numbers. But literally, if your kid is being groomed by somebody online, they could be in your house. It's like they have a key to your front door and you don't know it.
The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says 1 in 6 of these missing kids are likely sex trafficking victims. Other studies have that number even higher.
No parent ever wants to see their kid posted online for sex or illicit images of their child on their phone or someone else's. Some of the most painful days that I've worked is when the dads see the sexualization of their daughters. They break down in a way words don't describe. And no father or mother ever needs to see their child exploited that way.
Coming up, we take you to Fort Worth for an up-close look at a facility helping to solve missing persons cases around the country, how forensics are leading the way and answering questions about the missing.
Texas is not in our immediate area, but it's a place that has a big impact on missing persons cases in and around Bexar County. When human remains are found and law enforcement needs help solving a case, there's a good chance those human remains may end up at the University of North Texas Center for Human Identification. It's one of the top labs in the country when it comes to figuring out who these people were.
The Center for Human Identification is a rather unique institution in itself. We're the only one in the United States, if not the world, that combines a number of activities into one place. Sometimes law enforcement has a lot of information about the case, but they need a little bit more to be able to move forward. Sometimes it's for identification confirmation, sometimes it's for identifying the remains, sometimes it's determining if the remains are even human remains and that. So there's a lot of different aspects of it.
It's a tedious process to analyze these cases. Researchers have to get DNA off the remains and then try to find matching DNA from a family member without knowing who exactly their family is. The center opened in 2003 and is responsible for helping to solve thousands of cases.
So here we do cutting-edge research so we can develop new technologies to do better at identifying humans or solving cases, and we're putting new technologies online as we speak that no one else in the country can do, so that we can lead the way and solve things that others can't.
The Center for Human Identification has many parts, one of which is NamUs, which is the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System. One of the biggest components to NamUs, at least as far as the public can see, is their database.
So we are a full-service program to help agencies resolve their missing and unidentified person cases across the country.
When you get into the NamUs database, it's comprised of 3 parts. The Missing Persons Database, which features missing persons cases from around the country. The Unidentified Persons Database, which contains info about people who have died but whose bodies have not been identified. And the Unclaimed Persons Database. In these cases, a deceased person has been identified, but their next of kin or family members are unknown. The system contains thousands of these 3 types of cases searchable by the public or anyone in the world.
These are all the active cases, so there are 53
And as you can tell just from the images, you can see that we have some very long-term missing persons from Bexar County. And if we were to click on any one of those cases, we could view all of the case details. So the public has a lot of information on demographics like hair color, eye color, age, sex, race, stature. So if I were to click on any of these cases that came up in my search results, as a public user, you'll see I have access to a great deal of information. There's really not any limit to the age of a case that can be entered into NamUs. As long as there is an active missing person case on file with law enforcement, or we have families searching for a missing loved one, we can get that information into our database.
It's hard to quantify exactly how many missing persons cases there are on any given day because people disappear every day, so the number fluctuates. Nationwide, it's estimated that there are between 80 to 90,000 missing persons cases, and here in our area, that number varies depending on what agency you're dealing with. As of October of this year, the San Antonio Police Department has about 134 active cases, and the Bexar County Sheriff's Office is working an additional 31.
If she is alive, get her the proper help that she needs and bring her home to her family.
In my career, I've interviewed so many families that can't find their missing child, their parent, their loved one. And these are the stories that are among the most heartbreaking. There's so much pain these families endure, this search that seems to go on forever. The hardest part for them is the not knowing. And that's the reality they face as they continue in search of answers for the missing.
For more information or resources on missing persons, or to watch this or other episodes again, go to ksat.com/upclose.